At 19, I learned something most people never think about. That being young, soft-spoken, and quietly feminine can feel powerful, but it can also make you visible in ways you never asked for. That night, I was alone in my apartment, wearing nothing special, just a simple shirt, messy hair, the kind of ordinary look you forget about seconds later. I thought I was invisible. I thought I was safe. But somewhere outside my window, someone was watching. And with a single food delivery, my sense of beauty, safety, and control quietly collapsed. I am 19 years old. I live alone with my dog in a small apartment about 10 kilometers outside the town center. I'm still young, trying to stand on my own 2 feet. Sometimes when I look at myself in the mirror, I realize I have a naturally eye-catching presence without even trying. It sounds nice, but there's also something unsettling about it. That night, I would learn that the hard way. I knew that ordering food could sometimes be a hassle for someone living outside town like me, but I never once thought Uber Eats could put me in a situation like this. You hear stories, they make you uneasy, then you think, that would never happen to me. I thought that too. It was late Sunday night. The next day, my long-distance boyfriend was going to visit. Since I can only see him on weekends, I usually clean the entire apartment before he arrives. It was almost 8:30 p.m., and I had been cleaning for nearly 2 hours. I was hungry, but I really didn't want to dirty the kitchen I had just cleaned. I was wearing a simple, form-fitting, thin t-shirt, my hair tied up in a messy bun. Even my most casual look can draw attention sometimes. I'm aware of that. To avoid making a mess, I decided to order food. Shortly after placing the order, I got a notification. The driver was on the way in a white Toyota Prius. Since I live alone, I set the delivery to contactless and asked for the food to be left at my door. When the app said the food had been delivered, I was in the living room watching TV. I was starving. I rushed to the door, opened it, but there was nothing there. At first, I thought it had been left at the wrong apartment. I stepped into the hallway and checked the other doors. Nothing. I was about to go back inside and message the driver when someone knocked on my door. It was my next-door neighbor. She was holding my food. "I'm sorry," she said. "While the driver was here, he kept staring at your windows. I couldn't tell what he was doing, but it didn't feel right. So I took the food from him and brought it to you." I froze. I thanked her and took the food. But one question kept spinning in my mind. Why was he looking into my windows? I went back inside, ate my food, and put on a movie. I tried to calm myself, but an uneasy feeling stayed with me. I took a shower, changed into a thin pair of pajamas, and checked all the doors and windows like I always do before bed. Then I lay down, called my boyfriend, talked for a while, and eventually fell asleep. During the night, I woke up several times because my dog was growling. He's not a big, scary breed, just a small chihuahua that weighs only a few pounds. But when he suddenly starts growling in the middle of the night, it still sends a chill through you. I calmed him down and went back to sleep. Less than half an hour later, I woke up again to a tapping sound on my window. My dog went completely wild, barking, growling, even whining. I was frozen in my bed, unable to move. I pulled the blanket over my head, leaving just a small gap so I could see the window. With shaking hands, I called the police. I whispered into the phone, barely breathing. I told the operator that someone was in my backyard and that my window could be easily lifted because it wasn't fully secured. She told me to stay calm, move to another room, and said officers were on their way. I ran to the kitchen and grabbed a knife from the counter. All I wanted was to see those red and blue lights as soon as possible. Every second felt like an hour. When I looked outside from the kitchen window, my heart nearly stopped. The same Toyota Prius that had delivered my food was parked right across from my apartment. It was in the wide open area normally used for trailers and dog walking. But there was no one inside the car. In that moment, everything clicked. "He's in my backyard," I whispered to myself. When the police arrived, I could barely speak. I was shaking and crying. While I explained everything to one officer, the others went to check the backyard, and another officer went to inspect the car. The Prius was still there, but the driver was nowhere to be found. A few minutes later, they came back and told me they had found footsteps in the backyard. It had rained earlier that day, and the ground was muddy. Hearing that made my panic even worse, because it meant he really had been there. But where was he now? My neighbor came outside as well. The officers explained what had happened to her, and she repeated why she had taken the food from the driver earlier. She offered to let me stay in her apartment for the night. Strangely, I refused. After the police left, I went back into my apartment. It took me hours to calm down enough to even try to sleep. Around 3 a.m., my front door was suddenly knocked on hard. I heard police voices outside. My heart was racing. I slowly approached the door, terrified to open it. It was the same officer I had spoken to earlier. She told me they had stayed hidden around the building just in case he came back. And he had. They caught him as he was walking toward my front door, apparently trying to get inside. When I heard that, it felt like my stomach dropped to the floor. She told me he had been arrested and that I didn't need to worry about him anymore. I thanked her. I closed the door. I went back to my bed, but I couldn't sleep for the rest of the night. After that night, some things changed. I no longer order food when I'm home alone, even if it's contactless delivery, because sometimes all it takes is someone seeing you through a window, and you realize far too late how dangerous certain stares can be. That night changed the way I see the world and the way I see myself. I still believe in kindness. I still believe in ordinary days. But I also know now that sometimes danger doesn't knock loudly. Sometimes it just waits quietly on the other side of the door. And if you ever feel watched, trust that feeling. It might save your life.